I'm Lisa Bailey.
And I'm Patrick Bailey with iqless.com. Today is January 4th, 2017, and this is episode 5. And we have survived our first semester of homeschool. Okay, what are we studying? So, what have we been studying? We didn't do one, we were hoping to do one in December or November, but I guess we didn't, so we got almost 2 months worth of stuff. So, what have we been studying to finish our semester up?
Well, for November and December, because of holidays, we basically had 4 straight weeks of school that the kids and I decided we're really going to jam through this and focus and participate. And that led up right to the Friday before Christmas Eve. So essentially, all the weeks of December that led up to Christmas Eve, the kids and I really focused in and tried to get some work done. And we did good. The first week of December was a little hard to get them back in the swing of things after Thanksgiving break. But we did... we accomplished a lot of work in those 4 weeks.
Yeah, you guys are busy.
Mm-hmm. So, in November, we had a week's worth of vacation, and then we also had a week off for Thanksgiving. So, out of the past 2 months, we've kind of been in school for half of it. Primarily December.
Okay, so that's kind of it. We've been studying just the same old,
yeah,
just continuing on.
Going through the same curriculum. We finished up Europe. And so when we get back from break, we'll start with another continent. And we've just been trucking through with the same old routine.
Okay, now, what have we bought? We bought a few things. We spent a little bit of money since last time. And so we'll just kind of go down one by one. So here's our budget. And so one thing, I was teaching the kids on the side, I was teaching them about money. And that book I mentioned before. And so it's actually down here. It's a good stepping stone, the story of money. So it's a good book. It's a good stepping stone. But
I'm sure there's lots of other books on money. We just have to find out at the thrift store.
But I've been using it as a stepping stone because I like to pontificate and keep going and going. So at one point we were talking about different kinds of money. There's a fiat currency and a commodity currency. And a commodity currency, the currency is actually worth something. So we're talking about silver. And so I have a couple of silver coins. And so I actually gave them some of my silver quarters because it's kind of a good thing to talk about. But also, we were talking about actual silver. I mean, there are things like Krugerrands, different things that don't really have a value. They just have the value of the gold inside. And so I bought them a little tiny ounce of silver, which I totally overpaid for. But it was for school, and it was just kind of cool to show them, hey, this is just an ounce of silver. Just like this is an ounce of silver, but this is an old silver dollar, which has collector's value. And this is only worth the silver that's in it. And so explaining that this is not a currency, but that this is a currency, but it's also a commodity currency. So we bought this to show them, and I gave it to them so they understood. Also, back in the day, when we actually had silver quarters, what did you do with dollar bills? Well, dollar bills back then were silver certificates. And that meant you could take that dollar bill and you could trade it in for 4 quarters because that happened to be silver. And of course, anyone would do that because that's the way it worked. But also, there's a thing on the dollar bills back then that said, hey, this is a silver certificate. If you present it to the government, they will give you an ounce of silver. And so we went and spent, what did I spend? $15 on eBay. And I got an old silver certificate that happened to be nicely wrapped up. So it's not a fancy one or anything. But then they got to see, I don't know how well it's going to show on the camera. It says silver certificate. Maybe I'll scan it in and show it or something that says silver certificate. So it was kind of cool for them to know that we used to be a commodity currency system and now we're a fiat currency system, and to understand what the differences are. But so we spent money on it. So
I particularly like the fact that he was teaching them that while we were in vacation in November, before the Thanksgiving break. He was teaching them that, and while we were on vacation, him and the kids brought up eBay and they ordered these things, and it's nice to have some follow-up with what you've learned, especially for kids, so that by the time we got home from vacation up in the mountains, those were in the mail. So they got to actually see it and kind of refresh their memory of what they had learned. So that was nice.
And I bought them for them to keep so it can stick in their brain that they have those things. Hopefully. Okay, let's see what else we got. We got test basic prep, which I think I have over here. So she bought some test prep stuff because they're going to be taking the Iowa Basics here in
March.
Okay. Which, for us in Colorado, you have to test them every 2 years.
You don't have to.
You don't have to?
You don't have to.
I thought you had to.
No, it's an option. They have to be assessed. And every state's different. Here in Colorado, your kiddos have to be assessed starting 3rd grade every odd year. And since I have a 3rd grader and a 7th grader, they essentially will be testing on the same years. Mm-hmm. But you can also bring in a certified educator, and they can come in and just assess your kids right there.
Say they're okay.
And I'm not really sure what that process is like. They probably talk to them. They probably ask them to do some skills. So here in Colorado, you have 2 choices. You can either bring in an assessor to assess your kiddos, or you can take an assessment. And our assessment happens to be at my kiddos' Monday school. They're going to facilitate that. So the ladies that run that Monday school said, who've had many kids go through their homeschooling program, recommended these 2 test prep booklets. So I have a 3rd grade and I have a 7th grade. And so I ordered them. I haven't even looked through them yet because we're still on Christmas vacation and New Year's vacation. I was going to start to do that here in a few days. But you also need to know that there's lots of test prep booklets out there. So ask around. And
every state's different.
Yeah, every state's different.
So in Colorado, if you're in the public school, we have a horrible testing system like every year. It's gotten ridiculous.
It's not every year.
It's not every year?
No.
Well, they test too much. They do these, I shouldn't say they do these big long tests. But anyway,
off that
pedestal. I want to be completely above board so no one can question what we're doing. So I like the ideas. I think correct me if I'm wrong, because you've studied this more than I have. In Colorado, I could do the teacher thing, or I could go order the Iowa Basics and sit my kid down.
You can.
And I could watch them do it.
Yeah, you can test them here at your house or wherever you want to.
And that's okay, but if I heard, hey, this parent did the Iowa Basic test and they watched them and no one else was monitoring, it's like, well, they could have just slipped them the answers, right? Which we would never do, and I wouldn't accuse the other family of doing that.
It's too tempting.
It's so... our kids go to Monday school. So around here in Aurora, Colorado, they do a Monday school from the public schools for the homeschoolers. And with that, they will do the Iowa Basics there.
But not on a Monday. It's on a Tuesday. So it doesn't take away for their Monday school.
That's good. But then we can leave our kids there to take the test.
And it takes about 4 hours as opposed to a couple weeks in the public school system.
And then there's no question of us, interfering. And so I'm all for that. We would interfere. And I doubt any other parents would, but I don't want that to be a question in anyone's mind. So I'm all for the way that they're doing it. Okay, so enough of that. Next thing. Oh, there's our rec fee, which this month we just added me because I need to get in shape. So in Aurora, we have a rec system, and so we pay a monthly fee. We can go to all the pools and all the gyms and all that stuff, which is good. You bought them the BFG book, which you've been reading them.
Oh, yeah. So I like to, usually with the My Father's World curriculum, they provide books for you to read to your kids, like at night before bedtime. And they usually correspond with the curriculum. Like we read one about missionaries going to Mexico when we were studying Mexico. And, I kind of pushed that aside because I saw that the BFG was coming out in the red box.
Oh, yeah.
And so I said, let's get the BFG and just read that.
Read it before you watch the movie.
Yeah, so the kids can read it. Now, Corbin, my son, actually read the BFG. I think it was in third grade.
Oh, it's been a while then.
It's been a while. So although he'll claim that he's read this already, he doesn't really remember a lot. Probably because he had all the distractions of a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like he's rereading it as we read it out loud. So I think we're about halfway through. We've, with break and everything, we're not really consistent with reading at night right now. But we'll get back into it, and then we'll rent the movie from Redbox.
Yeah, so that was just a good book. We wanted to get the book before we watched the movie. So next thing, swim team. So we signed him up for the swim team, my son, who needs to go burn some energy. So that's about $80, and that's for the whole, basically, next semester. So that's the whole till May.
I'm not sure. We have a meeting tomorrow, so they'll outline what it's like, and he'll be assessed on where he belongs on the team, and then we'll go from there.
The next thing, laser thermometers. I actually, we needed some thermometers.
And we didn't even do the experiment because you were so obsessed.
I was obsessed
by these thermometers. We haven't even done it yet.
Well, they'll do it eventually.
Yeah, we will.
Well, with all the experiments they're going to do in science in the future, they needed some good thermometers. And so there's these laser thermometers that they don't measure with a laser. The laser's just a laser pointer. And they have some other things where they have to just point it to it and you can get the temperature. And so I was curious and I read some different things, and there are some cheap ones. So you can go on Amazon and you can get these little cheap guys for about $17-$20. And so we bought one. But I was concerned about the accuracy because people said, they're not very accurate. They don't hold up well. So we did a whole review. So I'll post that right here. So you can actually go here and you could watch the review we did. But long story short, the cheap ones, they're not as good. Nowhere near as accurate.
Well, they weren't as accurate on the lower temperatures.
Especially on the low. So we got these nice flukes.
That we'll have the rest of our lives. So.
Yeah. So we spent, this was about $60 or so. You can see.
Did you get it on Amazon?
I got it on Amazon. But for $60, something that you know is going to last a long time and is very accurate and has a good company behind it. So I spent money on that. Plus, I got to do a review so other people can look at that. Let's see. Next one, Star Wars Museum. So downtown Denver, we got our museum.
Art museum. There's lots of museums.
That's true.
The Denver Art
Museum has a display for the past couple months. Has a
traveling display of Star Wars, authentic Star Wars costumes.
Yep. And so we
went. And it's here until April. I think it's been here from November 2016, and I think it's here until April 2017.
And so maybe I'll take some pictures and kind of float them around. You can see some of the cool stuff. So, of course, if you're a Star Wars fan, you know Padme, who changes her outfit every 30 seconds. So that was half of the exhibit, which is pretty cool. But they had
her costumes were great.
I think her costumes are great. Corbin was complaining, it's all Padme. Well, yeah, because she has 500 costumes. Yeah. Everyone else just wears the same thing. Yeah. But they had Han Solo and Chewbacca and R2-D2.
It was
Yoda.
Really cool.
It was pretty fun.
And we had every intention to walk around the museum and check it out. But after looking at all those costumes, I think we were spent. We were done. We were ready to eat some lunch and go. And so, definitely me and the kids will have to go back and check out the art museum because we've never been there before. And they have free days every month. So
we'll go there again.
Maybe the kids and I can pick a free day and just go hang out there. Because we went and walked around like a Renaissance.
We did one. Yeah, after Venetian, it was pretty cool.
Venetian Renaissance, like oil paintings from the 1400s and the 1500s. It was really cool. 1500s. Really neat.
Okay. And they got to see paintings about 500 years old. So that was kind of cool. Okay, and last thing to wrap it up. We also started getting we also spent some serious money, which is all on me. We spent $338 for a year subscription, and that includes some Black Friday discount, for a Bitbox subscription.
We learned about this from another homeschool mom.
And she said it was awesome and all this stuff. And so you can go to bitsbox.com and find out more about it. And so they send you an introductory kit, which I have not even opened yet because I was threatened not to do in the last week of school.
Yeah, it's vacation.
But the idea is it's supposed to help you teach programming to young kids and teenagers. And then every month they send you a new kit. So we haven't even cracked it open, but I've spent a lot of money.
They have different levels, right? As far as cost.
Oh yeah, they got different levels of cost.
What's included in it?
Yeah, because we got the most expensive one. So we'll probably do some reviews on it later and show you what's up. We got the most expensive one that you can spend $45 a month. Or you can we just paid all in advance. So,
and since we have a programmer in the family, it was important.
My investment to torment my kids on how to program. So if I try to teach my kids programming my way, it's not going to be fun. So we're hoping this is more fun. So we
bought a lot.
What we bought since then. So, okay, what have we started? We kind of ended a semester. So I don't think we really started anything new at the end of the semester. We're going to start some new things here pretty soon. Right.
But I think that'll be on the next video.
Okay, that'll be in the next video. So nothing. Only interesting thing we've done that was new for us is we did go on vacation in November, up to the mountains where I was working, and the kids did do some schoolwork there. So they probably did half a week worth while they were there. Mm-hmm. And so that was our first time doing schoolwork on vacation. So that was new, and it went okay. Mm-hmm. I think. Okay, what have we stopped doing?
I don't think we've stopped anything because it's, horrid or just not working for our kids. The only thing that we would consider stopped is because they finished it.
We did finish some stuff.
So the kids finished their cursive. And so they now know how to write in cursive. And they practice it every week. There are certain things on the curriculum that they have to write in cursive. They write letters every week that they have to write in cursive. So
okay, so they're not done. They're done learning, but they have to practice now.
Yeah. Okay. And they have essentially the lowercase and uppercase in cursive in front of them. Mm. So they, especially with the uppercase, because you don't use it as much, so they can always refer to it. So they finished cursive. And they both finished their reading books and their study guides. So we'll get new books when we come back. Yeah. And Corbin was excited because he said, this is the first big book I've ever finished.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he had a rough time with that last year.
Teachers aren't going to push you like Mom is.
That's true.
So that's about
it.
What we stopped.
Okay, anything neat that has happened? What neat stuff has happened? I can think of two things but is there anything from you? Mm-mm. Well, the first thing, which is cool if you're an engineer, is my daughter came into the room one day while I was working here, and she had like one of her plastic doll houses, and she wanted to take it apart to see what was behind something. So I think I might have an engineering girl in the future. She was taking the whole thing apart, so I think that's good. We'll see how far it goes. She's still young, but she's a smart kid. Maybe she's going to become an engineer someday. Another thing that was neat that's happened recently is just the way I'm thinking now. I think we've changed our parenting a little bit in how you teach them. We need to teach our kids constantly. Teach them along the way. Teach them night. Teach them day. But sometimes, you speak too much and your kids go, oh, no, I've had enough. I don't want to hear anymore.
It's not just the kids, it's the wife, too.
Well, that's for me because I talk too much. And so you go, fine, I'm done. I'm not going to fight you because you're going to learn this anyway next year in French class or whatever. And so you don't bother with it. Well, I can't do that because they're not going to necessarily learn things. So I think there's more follow through, that I have to do more follow through.
Well, I think it's necessarily follow through. I think you're starting to realize that you have to be accountable.
It's not going to go on someone else's shoulders, so I have to do it.
But there has to be a certain level of developmental ability considered in that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's still good to teach kids above their level a little bit and say something, even if they don't understand it fully. You don't beat, if they don't understand it, you don't beat it into them, but you may say it and it can kind of get in the back of their brain for years later. So I don't think that's a problem. But if you say, you're not getting it, you need to understand fiat currencies, like, okay, they might know the word.
That's why they teach grammar year after year after year. What a noun is every single year.
Okay, well, that's it for anything neat, that's happened recently. Okay, what's been frustrating? We did have a meltdown. You know when you have a fight with your wife, and then 2 years later you forgot what you thought about it, but you knew it was knockdown, drag out? Like, I remember a fight we had years ago. I didn't talk to you for 2 weeks.
Okay, let's talk about that.
I can't remember exactly what all triggered everything. You forget. You forget the bad sometimes. But anyway, you guys, I don't know what triggered it. We just had a meltdown. Everyone melted down. What triggered it? I don't remember.
The kids. So I think we came back from Thanksgiving break, and that first week was tough to get them back in the swing of things, to waking up early, to getting their work. My goodness, my kids weren't getting their work done until like 4 o'clock in the evening.
Oh, they were taking forever. That's true. It was frustrating everybody.
It was just frustrating everybody. And
so that's probably going to happen next week. Next week's school.
Yeah, but I think once you acknowledge that things like that happen, you look for it and it's not as bad.
Well, and as a family, everyone just kind of broke down one night. Mm-hmm. And so we had to talk about that. And I said, hey, are you guys done with homeschooling? Are we done? And they all said no. Said, we like homeschooling because of this. They're frustrated for some things, but they're like, no, we like this better. And so they all had to buy in because that's what they wanted to do. I wasn't forcing them, but I said, hey, if this is done, we can be done. We can go back to regular school. I think their conclusion was, hey, this stinks. We're frustrated right now, but overall, that they liked homeschooling. So.
And we will get frustrated again. You just work through it.
But the last week, right before Christmas break, they rocked.
As soon as that little outburst happened and we all kind of yelled at each other,
yeah,
it went really well. It's like everybody's feelings were heard. Nobody really had an answer. Mm-hmm. And so we either quit or we move on.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what it was.
So we moved on. So.
Okay, so we've made it through our first big mental breakdown in homeschooling. Okay. So that's what's been frustrating. Okay, chatting. Is there anything we need to chat about? I got one thing.
Well, I think a lot of what we have to chat about is going to be on next video because we've implemented ideas of a lot of things, but we won't really put them into practice until after we get done with this week, and today's Wednesday.
Yeah.
And the kids will start back next week. But lots of things.
But I guess we can talk about one thing. We've sat down last week.
We sat down.
We sat
down.
And we wanted to do vision casting for our school. What's the vision of our school? Why are we here? What do we want to do? And so as part of that sitting down, Lisa gave me one of her books. And this is it, called Connecting the Dots by Mary Fitzwin. And in here, let's see what page is it on. Page 24. It just kind of gave us a good primer for casting a vision. It talked about sit down for 5 minutes and do this, then do this, and had a good little stepping stone to go through all that. And so that kind of helped us step through to cast our vision, which we're still not exactly done with, but we're almost there, trying to see what is our vision for our school in the near term and the long term. And once you have a vision, you have a goal, and you can start setting goals and know where you're going to go versus just kind of plumbing along. Not that we didn't have a vision this first semester. This first semester, we determined our vision was...
I had a vision.
Was catching up.
And you had a vision, and I think our visions were the same, but the kids didn't know we had a vision.
So that might not be such a bad thing, the first semester. But now, we're including them. We were doing this with them because we want to talk about the vision, put it in their heads, and then we want to chat about it and talk about it. And so we're not yet done with that. Once we have one, maybe we'll share it. But I thought this book was a good book to help with that. And this lady's written a few other books that you've used that are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So, vision casting. Because if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to get there, right? So we're excited for the next semester, which starts next week. Another thing, which I don't think I mentioned, but I'll mention in the next video. It's something we're going to start is I'm going to start teaching 30 minutes every day. So we're going to schedule that, which will give Lisa a break and give me something to teach. But it's not going to be just me doing 30 minutes. I'm going to plan it every week. So this week I'm going to teach them this and go on the days. And, it's not going to be a curriculum per se, I want to.
But you'll have schedule of topics. And it can be random topics.
Yeah, it can. I want to teach them how to tie knots.
Or you can
spend a week doing that.
Just see what they're doing in their everyday life and be like, I think we can talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah. So that's going to be fun. So the next semester's going to be fun. There's other stuff coming.
Is that considered my lunch break?
Sure. You better go to lunch. Quick. Okay. So anything else? I think that might be it. So
lots of vacation, lots of time off, ready to move on to the 4 to 5 months of. You always look forward to spring break.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so that is it for this episode then.